Hey guys, we are back with some more Checking Lines franchise mode, and as you can see, we're on a different save file here. Figured we may as well restart. We did the same thing with the LA Kings GM mode. There's actually been a new roster update since the previous episode as well, so I figure we may as well, and I'm not taking any chances with any, corrupted data on the previous save file, so figured may as well just start this new save file here. And we're going to get right into the expansion draft. I'm not going to show you guys the expansion draft again because it just takes way too long. And you guys already know my process at this point. And draft lottery, Winnipeg wins the draft lottery. Ottawa stays at 2. Detroit falls back to 3. We are at number 4 this time. So I think we were at number 5 or number 6. But nonetheless, looks like a pretty good draft selection for your Checking Lions. So we will get right into the expansion draft and I'll see you guys in a minute. Oh, and something else to note. I turned on add contract year so that any players who just signed with a team for 1 year aren't, automatically released. So just thought I'd make a note of that. And with that being said, I will get through the expansion draft and see you back at the entry draft. So we have completed the NHL expansion draft, and we have Larson, Ranta, Ritchie, McCabe, Lievo, Shea, Shaw, Taves, Nyquist, Hintz, Nemestikov, Barry, Sorella, Amadio, Johansson, Lehkonen, Yarncrow, Janssen, Eberle, Kincaid, Brown, Lyon, Bluger, Donato, Blay, Foote, Dermott, Demko, Van Riemsdyk, and Forbert. And here's our head coach, Steve Morrow. He's got an A+ for teaching. His teaching specialty is forwards, so I think we really want to focus on offensively minded players going into the draft. He's got overload, behind the net, overload, crash the net, and then pinch shoot, balance shoot. So Easton Holmberg will be the likely first overall pick. He is looking phenomenal. Oh, that's good. That's really good. He's like Jeff Carter, NHL ready. Wow. He is going to be very good. Pessinen is supposedly going second. Also looks pretty good. Bobby Schwartz, supposedly going third. And then we are going to have the option of Tambellini, Aaronson, or Sierra. I think it'd be between Tambellini or Aaronson just because Sierra is that medium top 6 as opposed to the medium elite. So we could have either, it looks like a defensive defenseman in Tambellini. Shot utilization is his only weakness. Or Devin Aaronson, the right winger. Yeah, I think it's got to be pretty obvious who we're taking here, given that our coach has an offensive scheme. I think it's got to be Aaronson. He's the sniper, the pro elite's hard wrist shot and offensive instincts. As opposed to Tambellini with the shutdown ability, size and strength and mobility. Yeah, I think Aaronson has to be the pick here. So here we go, getting into the draft, and Winnipeg actually wants to trade their first overall pick. So, I suppose maybe we start this out with a bang here and pick up the first overall pick. I highly doubt it, but let's just see what they want anyway. So Barry, Shea, they want all kinds of NHL players here. Someone like Yarncrow, I would definitely be willing to trade him. I think we would have to give up our second, more than likely. At the very least. So what would the Winnipeg Jets really need? It looks like they might need just a little bit of everything. They're kind of short on salary cap. So maybe if we take some salary back the other way, that might help things as long as it's like a bad contract, like maybe Perreault. All right, we have to work quickly here, so I'm going to add Perreault. I'd be willing to add Dermott to this. So Yarncrow, a second, and Dermott for a first and Perreault. Will that work? No. Okay. 1 minute. I'd be willing to add Foote. I would be willing to add Foote if it meant getting this first overall pick, or even maybe Larson. I don't think this is too far-fetched. Proposed trade? Isn't there whatsoever. Nyquist? Yarncrow? The salary doesn't work. Will I regret doing this? Pessinen goes first, as opposed to, what's his name? Holmberg. So Holmberg is still on the board. Now, unfortunately, Ottawa does not want to trade their pick, so it looks like they're getting Holmberg. So they'll probably take Schwartz. So I guess Ottawa didn't want Holmberg. So Holmberg, wait a minute. If Detroit passes on Holmberg, I swear, that would be hilarious if they actually went with like Tambellini. And you know what? Honestly, they might. Let's see Detroit's roster. Because I'm pretty sure that they need a defenseman more than really anything right now. Because they have Larkin, Zadina, Raymond. They might go with... All right, let's see. Sim options. Sim pick. Ah, they went with Holmberg. So close. He almost fell to us. Wow. Okay. So Tambellini, he has cycle pinch, and that is not what our coach's scheme fit is. I think he's shoot pinch, as a matter of fact, so there's no question here. We are going to be taking Devin Aaronson. Welcome to the Czech Republic, and he is a 73 overall sniper. He's going to take a little bit. Very unfortunate that Holmberg only dropped to Detroit. He couldn't have just dropped one more. That would have been great, but nonetheless, I will take the consolation prize in Aaronson. Now, I do want to try to trade back and get maybe Toronto's pick at 16 or Edmonton's pick at 15, because if you guys remember, there is a Czech-born player. Yes, indeed. He is supposed to go 20th, according to Central Scouting. So we're just going to sim pick by pick here. And if he is still available, which he should be, around this point, then I think I want to trade for either Toronto or Calgary's pick. Calgary's going to be a bit more risky since he is ranked 20th and Calgary's picking 20th. So Ottawa's stacking up on defensemen here. Tambellini also goes to Ottawa along with Schwartz. Looking good on the back end there for Ottawa. So Chickhart is still available with the 16th pick. So I'm going to try to trade for Toronto's pick real quick. So I think we would give up our second here. Or maybe we could afford to give up the third. Maybe they would take the third. But then we would have to add a bit more valuable piece as far as the skater going the other way. What kind of extra pieces do we have as far as defensemen go? You have Shea, Barry, Dermott, Taves, McCabe, Larson, Forbert, Foot. I kind of want to keep Foot. I want to see how he pans out. I wouldn't mind giving up Devin Taves here, because he's already 26. He's on a multi-year deal. Yeah, I wouldn't mind giving up Devin Taves here. Hello? Can you add Taves to the deal? Thank you. So Toronto would be over the cap, unfortunately. We would have to add something the other way, and it doesn't even look like that would be enough value on its own. Yeah, it's going to have to be someone with less salary. I can't really find anyone who would be cheap enough to trade for with a high enough salary. I suppose I could give up Yarncrow, and then I would add... I don't want to mess around here too much. Let's add Simmons to the deal. He's making 1.5. Would that go through? Proposed trade? Gonna have to add the fourth, I think. Proposed trade. Rejected. Okay, they made the pick anyway. So they chose Mink. I'm gonna try to work out a trade with... Oh, did Nashville traded for... Calgary was picking 20th, weren't they? Yeah, Nashville traded for Calgary's pick. So it looks like we're not gonna be able to get Chickhart without giving up an arm and a leg here. Yeah, that's not worth it. That's definitely... I mean, as much as it would be phenomenal to have a Czech-born player in our first draft, or first redraft, I suppose, since we already did one in the first episode, and this is technically episode like 1.5, I guess if you want to call it that, it's too much. It's going to be too much to trade for a first-round pick to get him. I mean, if he's still by chance there with Philly's pick, we could make a trade with them, but... I'm not counting on it. We could probably do Dermott and a third for their first, but again, let's just wait until it actually gets to their pick to make sure that he's actually still there, which, again, I'm not anticipating. Sprooks goes to the Devils. Nashville, they will take... Yeah, Chickhart. Figures. And let's take a look at who is left on the board. You got McPherson. I mean, no one who's guaranteed, because all these guys are... we don't really know what they're about. Duke Downey, I mean, that's a great name. 3 years ETA. It's not bad. But, yeah, there's no one who warrants a trade at this point. So I think we'll just simulate ahead to our second-round pick. I'm going to take all the generated players, I think, from here on out. We'll take Kirill Gonchar. Okay. Medium top 9. Third round now, we're taking Barabal. He is a low top 9, 60 overall sniper. We have Elliot Murray, who is 59 overall. Defensive defenseman, low 7th. That is unfortunate. Viktor Varlamov, medium top 6, 52 overall, two-way defenseman. Miknov, oof. Medium 7th defenseman, 48 overall. That is brutal. And final pick for us in the year 0 entry draft, we have Gustavs Lazarev. Let's see what he ends up being. Oh, that's overall kind of rough for a first draft, but to be fair, we didn't have much to go off of for most of these players. So welcome to the Czech Republic. Aaronson, Gonchar, Barabal, Murray, Varlamov, Miknov, and Lazarev. So we actually have no UFA skaters. So that's kind of a surprise. No UFA goalies either. Shied away from the one-year contracts for the most part besides Hintz and Sorella. Yeah, that's it. Just Hintz and Sorella. And the good news is that they both want to re-sign, so we'll just get Sorella out of the way because he'll be fairly easy signing. Now, Hintz, what do you want? 3.8 for 3 years. I don't know how long I'm going to want to hold on to. I don't know like where you're going to fit in the lineup. So I think instead I'll go 2 years, and I'll try to take it down to 3.6. There you go. Hintz is re-signed as well as Sorella. So very, very simple re-sign stage. Probably the easiest re-sign stage I've ever had to do. And we will go straight into July 1st. So let's take another look at our roster here. We have in goal, Ranta and Demko. And in the minors, Kincaid and Lyon. So really not much to complain about there. I think we can roll into this season with Ranta and Demko. Defensemen, you have Barry, Shea, Dermott, Taves, McCabe, Forbert, Larson, TVR, Foot. So I think one of these guys has to be traded. I don't know which yet. So I think I'm honestly going to wait until at least preseason to do that, because I want to see where everyone fits in the lineup. So I think we're honestly, for right now, we're fine on defense. I mean, obviously we do need to sign some guys for the AHL, but we could always, we could sign Murray, we could sign Lazarev, Varlamov, Miknov, just to fill out the AHL team. And then, of course, get some guys out of free agency to help those guys out. And then forwards, you have Eberle, Nyquist, Hintz, Brown, Yarncrow, Johansson, Janssen. That's going to get a little confusing saying those guys' names back-to-back. Ritchie, so that's 8, 9 in Shaw, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 technically in Amedio, and Sorella 17. So we can trade, I would imagine, a couple of those guys, but again, I'm going to wait until preseason to figure out all the line chemistry. We'll take a look at what's in free agency, but I don't think I'm really going to bother too much with it, just because I kind of want to see how this team simulates. I mean, there's Sergachev on the free agent market, but he's undoubtedly, he's an RFA. I mean, if I see any young players that are asking for a decent deal, like maybe Duclair, we don't have a scouting report on him, but he is young. He's not asking for too much money. He's an 82 overall, already a second liner. Would we need another sniper? Because I know we have quite a few of them already in Nyquist and, what's his name, Eberle. We have Yarncrow as well. Well, Eberle and Nyquist are 30 years old, and you compare that to Duclair, who's 24. The problem is, I don't want to, sign him and then just end up having to trade him, because there's a possibility he may not fit into our lineup. Nah, I'm going to pass. It wouldn't feel right doing that. So we're going to just simply sim through free agency period and get right into the preseason of year number 1. But first, we're going to make sure all of our staff are set in place. So let's just make sure our goalie coach is what we want him to be. No, not at all. I'm not having that C for teaching for a goalie coach. Not having this either. Our AHL head coach is pretty okay. I mean, he's got that A- for teaching, and that's what really matters for the AHL. Though I wish he was the same teaching scheme as Morrow was. So really, we just need a couple of goalie coaches. And if I can find an AHL head coach who matches Morrow's teaching scheme, then I'll definitely pick him up. But Sloan he's definitely a good option if we have to go to him. Yeah, no one I'm really interested in the AHL head coach market. So I think for right now, we'll stick with Sloan. Okay, so here we are on the line screen. We're going to check out the scheme fit for everyone. We got Lehkonen, who fits in best on the first line. You have Johansson, who fits in best on the first line. And you have Nyquist, who also fits in best on the first line. So that might be our first line this year, honestly. Johansson, or see, I told you it would get confusing pronouncing those two. Janssen fits in best on the second line. You have Yarncrow, who also fits in best on the second line, and Eberle fits in the best on the first line. So Nyquist and Eberle are interchangeable, as is Lehkonen. So you could have Eberle, Johansson, and Nyquist instead. Now, on the third line, you have Lievo, who fits in best on the third line. Same for Teddy Bluger. And Connor Brown, you can put him on the second or third. And you have Donato, who fits in best on the second or third, but he is on the fourth currently. Same for Hintz, and same for Shaw. Now we're going to take a look at Nick Ritchie, who's currently scratched. He fits in best on the first line. And Forbert doesn't really fit in well at all anywhere. Now look at the defense. You have Shea, who fits in best on the third line, but he's definitely not going to be there. You have Tyson Barrie, who fits in the top four. You have Devin Toews for the same thing. Travis Dermott fits in best on the third pair. McCabe fits in best on the top four, and Jacob Larson top four. Okay, so I know for a fact that we're not going to be using Forbert. So Nemestikov fits in best on the second line. Blais fits in on the first line. And TVR fits in on the third line. Okay, that's good. I'll keep him up here then. And I don't believe we saw Foot either. Let's see what Foot is about. Best on the third pair. So look at what I have found here. A +5 first line with Ritchie, Johansson, and Nyquist. Second line is at a +3 with Nemestikov, Yarncrow, and Janssen. Then you have a +1 third line with Lievo, Hintz, and Brown. And then you have Donato, Bluger, and Shaw on the fourth line. Defense, you have Shea and Barrie, Toews and Dermott, McCabe and TVR. And scratch currently are Eberle and Larson. Now, I do want to try to find a way to get Larson in there. So I think I'm going to replace Dermott with Larson because he doesn't fit well on the top four. So I think at this point, my lines are set, and I know who we can make expendable and trade. And the players that I think we can trade are Blais, Forbert, Lehkonen, Eberle, and Dermott. Those are the players who mostly don't really fit into our scheme. So there you go. Our trade block has been updated. So now let's try to find new homes for these guys. And honestly, I think we could probably trade Foot too. Well, he fits perfectly in the AHL everywhere. So I might actually just want to keep him to grow him in the AHL and then trade him maybe next year or the year after. Because he doesn't really fit anywhere in our NHL, but he certainly fits in our AHL. So we might just groom him in the AHL for the time being and see how much he can grow and then trade him. Because I have a feeling if he can have a really good season, his trade value will skyrocket. We have a lot of trade offers for Travis Dermott here. My goodness. I'm just going to quickly fly through them all. So it seems like the popular offer here is a second and a third, and I would really prefer a second and a third for this year, which is exactly what Winnipeg is offering, so we will trade Travis Dermott to the Winnipeg Jets, accept that trade. For Eberle, we're not getting as much. His trade value isn't as high as Dermott's was. Third and a fourth from Anaheim, third and a fourth, Goligoski in a fifth, Demers in a fifth. So third and fourth is pretty much the best offer that we can find for Eberle here. But let's get a couple of picks for the next draft. So the 2022 draft, a third and a fourth from Arizona. I will accept that. I'm going to make Blais and Forbert a package deal here just to get a little bit more value out of them, I suppose. Colorado is offering 2/3. Winnipeg's offering a second and Bressois. So this question becomes, would I rather take 2/3 or 1 second? You know what? Seconds are worth quite a bit in NHL 21, so I think we will be taking the second round pick from Winnipeg. We're not getting much for Lehkonen. A 4th round pick is the best offer that we have from Nashville, so we will take that. So what we're going to do now with some of our remaining cap is sign a couple of veterans to help us out, and one of them, the big man, Zdeno Chara, he's already gotten his cups, and now he is going to help the next generation of Lions into the league. $4 million for 1 year for Zdeno Chara. And along with signing Chara, there is one more move that I want to make, and it is actually in the form of a trade. We are going to be trading with the Buffalo Sabres, and if you see who they have on the block, Stahl, Skinner, and the one that I want to trade for, Kyle Okposo. He has 3 years left on the $6 million deal, so he's going to be kind of expensive, but we can afford it. It's not like we have too many big players to pay as of yet. So I don't think that'll hinder us too much for the future. And what we're going to get as well is a 4th round pick for next year. I tried getting a 3rd, but didn't really work out. And who we're going to be sending the other way is a prospect that we just drafted in Barabal. He is 60 overall, low top 9. I don't see us using him at all. So as long as this 4th round pick ends up being better than Barabal, I mean, that's already an automatic win. But the fact that we're also getting Okposo, who could help us now, I really like this trade. So Barabal for Okposo and a 4th proposed trade. There you go. We had to fill in our cap somehow. So with that all being done, we will simulate ahead until we have Chara on the roster. And there you go. Chara is now officially on our roster. So I think we will call it there. So let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys in the next one when we start year number 1.